Hello and welcome to Peanut Butter Jenny Time. My name is Jenny Tian and every week I chat to a different guest. Today I have Concetta Caristo.
Hi, babe.
Hello. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here and see you.
Oh, that's so nice. I feel like it's been a while for both of us. You just took a holiday, right?
Yeah, I took a holiday and then, breakfast radio's taken over my whole life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Tell me about that. Because your schedule is like nuts, right? Like I feel like people don't know how early you wake up and how like you finish, like you just finished work and it's like 2 p.m, right?
Yeah. And I think I have to forget that like my 1 p.m. someone's 5 p.m. So in my head, I'm like, well, there's the whole day. I have no excuse not to like fit a billion things in. But like if you work 9 to 5, by 5, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I'm going to chill or like I'll have a drink. I'm like, well, I have to have 2 lives in one day sometimes. Or sometimes I just crash and I'll feel guilty and be like, I'm the laziest girl in the world to my partner because I'm in bed at 1:30, 2 o'clock. And he's like, you're tired. You've been up since 4. It's okay.
That's a person's full day. That's like evening for most people is like your 1 p.m.
It's a little bit being like, no one understands me. I've been up since.
I'm so special in the world. No one gets it.
No. It's like shift workers get it. It's just funny when you're like going against the grain a little bit sometimes. But I have to say, babe, I hated actually working 9 to 5. I much prefer finishing at 1 because like you can get to the shops, like you can avoid like traffic and stuff.
Yeah, that is really nice.
By 5, all the shops are closed. It's like I want to go to the shops, exactly, like if I need to.
Yeah, and do your shopping, avoid everything. I like it. So did you have a 9 to 5 before?
At one point I did. I literally worked. What was it? It was a hearing testing place.
Did you do the hearing test?
I did. For like if you just walked in off the street,
that's so rad.
I could give you like a simple hearing test, and then if it was over a level, I would be like, we'd like to book you in with the audiologist, and I was a receptionist, and that was at one point I was working 9 to 5, and then that was when I was like, I really can't do this forever. Like,
wait, so you were just grabbing people off? Did you say off the street?
I mean, people would come from off the street and be like, I think my hearing's bad, or like,
and then you do a little test.
You do the test if people wanted to check it out, but not most recently. I was working casual for the last several years in like retail and stuff.
Yeah, and then like because I heard you like do bits about this where you're like, I'm working my first like office job at the moment, which is by the way Triple J Radio.
I know, and it's like it's like not a normal office job, which is like the dream. Because can you imagine me? Like I'm hugging everyone, I'm like crying all the time, I'm like wearing bikinis to the work. Like it's like it's the limit I could do of an office job for a whole year. But it isn't like for other than 6 to 9, I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like writing questions.
Oh my goodness.
We're like brainstorming, sitting down. I've got like back problem because I'm sitting.
Oh, because you're sitting in a wheel for the first time. Oh my God, the back problems are real, right? Like the actual adjustment of your chair, because you do it in like training and you see like, okay, your armrests are supposed to be this high and then your back thing is supposed to be here and you're meant to have like a level playing field with like your computer monitor, and you do it in training and just like
and whatever. And then instead I'm like slumped every day like this, like like trolling the internet. I'm not doing proper, a sedentary lifestyle is killing us, and it's killing me.
What does sedentary mean?
Sitting.
Oh,
sedentary.
With the vocabulary.
Wow. To feel smart for 1 second feels good.
Okay, that's so amazing. And so how long have you been, because last time we spoke you had like, I feel like you just started in radio, and now it's been a couple of months. How are you settling in? Yeah,
so I started properly in the duo in breakfast January. And so it's now what, 8? We're in,
oh my gosh,
we're 8-9 months or something.
End of the year.
And so it's sort of, I'm really into it now. I think if I listened back to January, I would notice that maybe I'm a bit better, we'd hope, and a bit less, just a tiny bit better, and maybe a little bit less nervous. Yeah. But also I have been like listening to, podcasts and stuff about radio and talking to people, and it's like, Hamish and Andy talk about their first few years, they're like garbage. So it's like 1 year in actually the scope of something is like nothing, if that makes sense. Like I'm actually allowed to be shit for 1 year.
It is like a real office job where it's like your first year is like you're figuring out what the job actually is and then like how to do it and how it works.
Yes.
It's like when you first started a company and you're like a grad or whatever.
Yeah. Even in stand-up. Like
it's
think
so
of yourself in 1 year. It's like maybe you've got talent, but you're not good. You're not like coming out the gates perfect. Like it takes years to actually like build the craft.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I'm just trying I'm less nervous about everything all the time and maybe just a little bit into a swing of things, but But yeah.
Amazing. And I also, because it's been like a few weeks since I've done this pod, I forgot to ask you to introduce yourself.
Oh! Hello, my name is Concetta Caristo. I'm a Leo, and I technically work at Triple J, and I'm also a comedian and a friend of Jenny's, if she lets me say that.
So nice. I'm also a Leo.
Oh my God, Queen. When is your birthday?
July 24th. When's yours?
Whoa, that's so close to mine. I'm August 1st.
Oh my God.
Do you feel like you identify as a Leo?
I feel like because I'm like so close to not being a Leo, you know what I mean? I'm like one day off. Like I'm like almost a Cancer.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always been like, okay, I like almost just make it to being a Leo. But
so you could be a bit of both different signs?
I've no idea what Cancer does. I've never looked into
me
it. I've always
neither.
been like, Leo is obviously the bravest and the best. So I'm going to...
Yeah, all Leos are stars and, you know, that's what I am.
I have a thing though where like, were you the youngest in your grade or were you one of the oldest in your grade?
Oh my God, what a throwback question. I think I was normal. I don't think I was...
Really?
Like, I don't remember being... Like, you know, I feel like if you're oldest or youngest of the grade, everyone tells you. You're always like, you're the baby of the grade.
Yeah.
I don't have any I also don't have a lot of memories, but I don't have memory of being one of the oldest or youngest. Why were you?
Because like the cutoff date for school, to my memory, is like the end of July. Slash like maybe some talented people in August would get into the grade.
Sounds like me, I guess. I love that you know that specificity.
Yeah.
I'm like, I went to school and that's that. I don't really remember what I was in the year.
Oh, fair. I remember specific because I'm end of July, so I would always be like one of the youngest in the grade, and I would always therefore be like the shortest and like the least developed, and like you carry that through your life. Whereas I feel like most people that are like Leos, because so much of the grade system starts where it's like, you know, if you're born in August, then that's when you can like start going into school. So people that are Leos often are the oldest in the grade and therefore are the most confident and then carry that into the rest of their lives. And then that's my theory for why they end up like bold and brave and like all these other things.
That's amazing. I hope school kids listen to this so that they can weigh in. They're like, yeah, I'm the eldest in my grade and I'm the most confident and I'm most likely to be successful outside of here.
Undying confidence. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so speaking of you like working at Triple J and everything, when we were hanging out and doing our training together at the end of last year, so long ago, you had only like just gotten into Taylor Swift.
I got into Taylor Swift because of you.
Yeah.
Literally, this is not like, I don't even say this lightly. I say this with so much weight, Jenny. From our training at Triple J, it was so cool. It was the girlies. You were my rocks. It was Beck Childhood, you and I.
Yeah.
And we were somewhere where you two were talking so passionately, so fervently about this brand new album from Taylor Swift.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
What's it called, the album? Midnights. And I mean, that is to the testament of like loving things and like speaking about something passionately that it just got me so intrigued. I was like, these two girlies I love this girlie. What is it that stopped me from Taylor before? I think like a lot of people, we go, oh, we've got her in the love story box. We're like, you're that country girl. And it's like, maybe you're not for me. Anyways, I literally that day or that afternoon, I drove my car. I put the album top to tail. I listened to that thing and it blew my socks off. I was like, the lyrics are like poetry that like rip your heart out, like so smart, so clever, so beautiful, so emotional, and the songs are bangers.
They're so good.
And it just changed. Like I listened to that album nonstop, and now I'm like, Taylor can get it. And then you hear these stories about how she's just like this pioneer in the industry, and now I've been talking for 5 minutes, but like you did that.
Yeah, but it's so amazing. But also like testament to you and your open-mindedness to get into her. Like I feel like for most people, they got into Taylor Swift around like Red or 1989 when she like switched into pop, but I'm
so late.
Your era of Taylor was very.
What was that? Was that last year? Like
that was the end of last year, end of 2022.
2022 is when I started, and I'll dive her like with the rest of the girls who've been with her from the beginning. Yeah, she's a powerhouse. And then you guys told me to watch the documentary.
Oh, Miss America.
That I haven't done. Okay, that I need to watch.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Are you going to tour or no? her tour.
Okay, I get scared for that like big crazy tour stuff and being in a place with 1 billion people. That's where I'm a little bit like, I'm okay. Because like unless I'm meeting Taylor Swift, Jenny, or unless I'm interviewing her for God forbid for Triple J, I'm like, well, I don't need to stand 1 billion miles away from her.
That's so true.
I'll get anxiety. Like, I don't know, my feet will hurt if you want me to stand for like 3 hours.
Concerts can really suck. And then they end up, Taylor's concert is different, but for the majority of them, you know, like 1 or 2 songs from the artist, and then they go through their entire set list, and you're just like,
I have to ask you, are you going?
Of course I'm going.
Okay.
Of course I'm going.
And what like seats were you going for?
Oh, we were going for C, and it was like the
What
classic...
does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Is that close? C.
So there's like I don't know, like the A section, which is like the best and super, super expensive. And then I think there's like B that's like on the outer circle. And then C is where you start getting into the seating stands.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're going to be seated.
We're going to be, but like no one's going to sit. We're all going to stand. Me and my friends are going to stand. But it was literally the thing of, we were all on our, you know, phones and laptops, devices, incognito mode, private browsing mode, and then like probably like every single thing to try and get these tickets.
That's the thing. I don't want that responsibility of like, oh, like that's why I'll never like go in a sneaker raffle. I'm like, no. I don't want the pressure of like, I need to, if someone else is doing it for me, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's ballsy.
It was so stressful. I had a dream that the page that I got through to the next page, and that it was time to enter my credit card details, and then I entered it too slowly, and then
Taylor Swift snatches it back. She's like, no tickets for you.
You're never gonna see me.
I mean, again, something I read about the tour is how like she boosted the economy in the city. I mean, does it get more girl boss? Like truly, like that's so cool.
She's actually amazing. And have you seen the Barbie movie yet?
Yeah.
I'm like, she's Barbie. She's so Barbie.
She's so Barbie.
Yeah.
Do you feel like she's have you heard there's stories at the moment that she's has a feud with Olivia Rodrigo? Can you weigh in on anything like that? Or you're like, no, that becomes gossip and I'm not interested?
Oh, no, I'm totally so into it. I don't know, I really like Olivia Rodrigo. I think it's like, Olivia's like so young, and it's like she's so good, and it's like protect her please. So
yeah,
the fact that she used to so undyingly support Taylor and then suddenly stopped doing it, I'm like, there was something that went on there, and I feel bad. And it's like also like a sad thing of like, you know, never meet your heroes or whatever, but we'll never really know whatever happened between the two. So it's kind of like a bit whatever, but you can clearly tell from Olivia's side that like something happened to make her stop supporting her, and I'm like, and that's sad. That's
that is
for
sad.
Like, she's, how old is she, like 19 or something?
Yeah,
like,
and she's a powerhouse. They both are,
Yes.
and you know, you wish everyone could get along all the time, but life is complicated. And it's actually not our business.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not in their circle of their group, you know.
But also, if anyone has any goss on that, please.
Please come to us directly.
Oh, that's so funny. Also, speaking of Barbie, okay, I saw your thing with Margot, Robbie, and Greta Gerwig.
Oh my God, thanks for being across my stuff. That's so nice.
Of course. And then also Barbie. I was obsessed with the movie. You got the Renesmee doll. Who came up with the idea for the name Renesmee? To then you named a Barbie Renesmee, and then you showed it to literally Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig.
Oh my God. Okay, so I bought a Barbie for when I went on the cheap seats and I was doing this fashion segment, and something that was really in vogue was like mini handbags. So I went and bought a Barbie for the first time since I was a kid, just to get the mini handbag. And I had this beautiful Barbie that's like in my house, and like she's a girl boss, and she's vitiligo, and she's like awesome. She's like one of the new Barbies. Oh, yeah. And so then when we had this, you know, what's it called? A press thing, this press junket or whatever it was coming up. I saw the Barbie and I was like, oh my God, is it a good idea if I like brought my Barbie? And the office was like, yes, like ask the Barbie, like maybe that you could play around with it and be like, maybe you could name her or something like that. And then when we went in the moment, God, these like PR things, what do they call it? It's like a junket. So you only have like literally every outlet, unless you're freaking Kyle and Jackie O. You get like 5 minutes with the celebs to just, and you learn that you shouldn't even be like, how are you? Like, it's like the second you sit down, you're on, you better ask your questions and get out. Yeah. And so I had the Barbie asked it, and in the moment, I just, you know, thought of the Renesmee. I hadn't planned it. I just like thought, I was like, this is my Barbie. And I thought, would it be funny if, and I think names are so funny. Like, God, if you're a fan of me, you better know this by now. I love wigs. I love funny names. And the funniest name that came to me was Renesmee. And then that like made them laugh, and truly it's like a highlight of my life.
That's so cool. You made Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie laugh.
And I mean, we perhaps need to we owe it all to Twilight that let that joke sing. But it's the funniest name.
It's so random.
It's so ugly.
It's clearly two names joined together.
It's like, how do you make how do you make a beautiful name? You put two beautiful names together and that'll be more beautiful? Nah, it makes it feral and shit.
Concetta.
Imagine you find out my middle name is Renee.
No, I was going to try join your name with another name.
What about yours?
Concetta Jenny.
No, it'd be Janetta. I kind of love that. Or it'd be Connie or Kenny.
Oh,
with a C, because Jenny, Concetta,
and Concetta, Kenny. Yeah, no.
I don't like Connie. I don't go by Connie.
Yeah.
Does anyone call you? No one calls you Jen. Everyone calls you Jenny or JT, right?
Yeah, I emphasize the because there's a thing with like Jennies and Jennifers where Jennifers are Jens, so they can be called Jen and Jennifer, but Jennies are always Jennies. There's so many
interesting.
There's so many Jennifers and there's so many Jennies, and it's like, no, you cannot.
You don't cross over.
Yeah, no. I'm very firm on it. Anytime someone calls me Jen, I'm like, no, it's Jenny.
That's me. If anyone calls me Connie, I'm like, please don't. I don't want to be Connie.
Connie.
No, it's not my vibe.
Okay, so something that I didn't know about you until we started doing training at Triple J together was you used to be school captain. It's so random.
Thank you for bringing it up. It really doesn't get enough credit. No, I can't believe, why did that come up? I hope I didn't walk into the room and I was like, ex-school captain just entered the room. Yeah, I was. Yes, I was.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Huh, what's funny about it? I'm kidding. What, were you a leader much in school?
No, I was just like studying.
Yeah. And you were the runt of the litter. You could never. Remember, you were the youngest of the year.
I was also very young.
So you weren't confident and you weren't.
No, I was not. Yeah. Whereas you, on the other hand, born in August, older, clearly so confident. You're like, I can lead an entire school. I am the captain.
Did you ever want to be, or it was a little bit like not your vibe?
I was never into. I think I didn't care about being like prefect or like. Yeah. That leadership stuff until it was like immediately before they were like, if you want to be prefect, put your thing in. And then my entire group, I think for the lols, were like, yeah, let's just do it. And then I think me and a few others got to like there's like 2 or 3 rounds or something for it, and then a few of us got into the second round, and then after that I suddenly really wanted it. And then I didn't competitive. Get it. And I didn't get it.
Wait, so what were the kind of people that were like, do you remember your school leaders? Like, what were they like?
Oh, they were super politically active, social issues active.
Were they funny?
Smart. No. I mean, they were like really sociable, fun people. Maybe no, I don't remember.
They sound like really like conscientious students who were just really like active and
like smart
and like good public speaking and like a good person
and would go on to be like a leader in some other thing in the future, or like volunteer for organizations, like that type of thing.
See, I only cared about being school leader because it was the only way I saw to be funny. It was like to me the closest job to being a comedian.
Wow.
Because all the captains at my school, they were those type of students. They were so smart and like, they're like duxes and stuff, but they were always funny. Like they always were doing funny speeches, funny sketches, like funny assemblies, funny skits, funny like. So, I didn't like dream of being a comedian my whole life, but I was always drawn to like laughing and being funny. And so that's all I had in school. My school was my whole world. I went to the same school from kinder to year 12. And so they were the like leaders that I had. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I thought that was so unbelievable that they could like command the whole school and like, also, like, when you're all in the same school, you're making jokes that, like, the school understands. You're like, oh, that staircase that has the crazy cat in it. Like, it was just a way of, like, uniting everyone. And, like, so that is why I was always in leadership positions. Like, I did, I wasn't, like, the smartest student. I was, like, pretty smart. I was always late to school every day of my freaking life. And, I was, like, and I'm not the coolest person. I'm not even the most popular person, but I think I just was funny, and that like could get you people to know you and be drawn to you kind of thing. So that's all I'll say about school captain. I don't care about like, I mean, it is nice to be a leader and to like do things for, I do love that. Like, but I don't walk around thinking I'm a leader. No.
That's so amazing that your school captains were like doing sketches and funny like my school was so not like that at all. And that's so interesting that it's like, oh my God, the little patterns of being a comedian like start emerging from like that younger age and everything as well.
Totally.
So did you always want to like growing up like want to be funny or like were drawn to funny things?
I was definitely drawn to funny things. I just loved, you know, my dad was really into movies, and so he was making us watch movies like from very young. And, you know, I just like loved comedy movies. I loved comedy actors. I also like sort of had like a bit of a hard like growing up, and whenever I could make the family laugh or whatever, that's the sweet spot. So like it's a little bit of that, of like when you're laughing, like you just are riding that wave of tension, and if you could get a laugh, like you're safe and everyone's happy and blah blah blah. So there's a bit of that, and just like I was just like addicted. Like in school I was always in classes like being the funny one, like a little bit like always talking, always being like,
were you class clown?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I remember my dad. So my dad was the like strict one, and I just have this one memory of him being like, are you the class clown? Like checking in, being like, you're not the class clown, are you? And I went, nah. And in my head I went, yep. I fully am. It's the one thing that I do care about. So that was that's definitely where it started.
Yeah. And then after that, is that how you got started in like improv and stuff? Like
there's a bit of a jump. So like I didn't really do co-curricular drama or anything in school. Like the parents
really?
were like against it. They were like, things that scale, like come on. So I was doing chemistry, I'm doing like whatever.
Oh, chemistry,
like, I sucked at chemistry.
Chemistry's so hard.
It's so hard. I don't even know what it is still. Like I don't even know. I did it for 2 years. I don't even remember a single thing. And so I remember my drama teacher begged me to do drama. Nope. Didn't really do that kind of stuff. And then, you know, post school, again, it was encouraged like that I would do like a job that's what's the word, like prestigious, like you know, you're lawyer, you're doctor, you're something like that, something especially uni. And so I just like did economics. I've shown interest in economics.
Your degree?
That was my first degree out of school, an economics degree at UCID. And I just remembered supply and demand, and that was it. And I was like going to uni and not really doing it. And then and then my family, my mum, my sister and I, we moved to Perth. And
I did not know this about you.
Well, the thing is, like, I grew up, my dad was quite violent. He was like, I grew up in that kind of household. And so why we left was like, my mum called a like helpline of being like, we can't do this anymore. And then the helpline put her in touch with a like a social worker. And then my mum started like over months, we were like, okay, we're going to get out. We got to leave it. And so we were just like, for months, mum was like doing all the heavy lifting. She's the parent of like doing paperwork and stuff. And we would like slowly like pack things in our bags.
Oh man, your mum's amazing, by the way.
She's amazing. She truly, it was a very brave thing to do. And so then we went to this women's refuge, blah, 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 was there for a couple of months, and then was like, let's move to the other side of the country. So we moved to Perth. I changed my name. I started a new degree. Whoa. And this time I was like, I'll be a bit experimental. Like I'll do arts. No, I did law journalism for some reason.
Whoa. I love that was your idea of experimenting.
Yeah, you know when like you don't really have a calling, so like university degrees are a shopping list and you go, maybe I'll try this or that. Like, so I tried that, and I remember the law part being like, this isn't for me. This is too serious. There's better people who can do this. Journalism was a bit more interesting, blah, blah, blah. Did that. And that was where I did an acting class. Like I tried like a Whopper acting class. And I remember thinking like, oh, it's a bit serious. It's a little bit like really serious, but it was like cool.
Acting school,
like screen and stage, you know, it's like a short course, but it was like learning those kind of ropes, and it wasn't about being funny very much sort of thing. And then we moved again back in to Sydney, and this is my third degree around the sun. And this time I was like, okay, now I'll really lean into trying the arts. And I did an arts business degree. And then again, hating it, because in the arts I did like what is it, acting? And again, it was just really earnest, serious acting, and I just was hating it. There was a funny guy in my class. I owed all to him. His name's Lyndon. And he said, "You're funny. You should come to UCID. There's this theatre sports thing there that I think you'd be really good at." And so at UCID, there's this whole like theatre sports culture where you don't even need to be a student, but they have shows at lunchtime and like jams, like 2-hour jams. You go and you learn the ropes of kind of the building blocks of improv, which is like making it up on the spot, playing games. And so I went there and I was so nervous, but then I just fell into like enjoying it, meeting people, and then I entered the like theatre sports competition that they had at UCID. And so that's where like that all came out of that uni world. And then I started to get confidence, and they have reviews there, which are those like uni shows where you like write and make your own sketches. I entered in women's review, and that was so cool. I remember that being like a defining moment of like auditioning for something and then getting in, and like it's like, it felt like SNL. Yeah, it was like from going from nothing, 0 to 100, you're like in groups with other women like writing sketches and being like, is this hat funny or should it be like it was I was like, oh, I always thought my whole life I was lazy because I didn't put in the time and effort into these different degrees or like different work. And I was like, oh, it's because I hadn't found the work I really wanted to do. I was like, this is the work I want to do. Yeah. And then from there I did like Improv Theatre Sydney classes, and then eventually stand up. God, I spoke for so long.
No, thank you for being so like candid and open with your entire story. I didn't know so much about your past like that.
Well, do you feel this way, like you talk about your past and then it's like a domino effect? It's like, well, I can't tell you that without that. Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
To do it. Yeah, but also it's like but all of it is necessary and it makes sense, you know, because it's like, I feel like in a lot of those like traumatic environments and like when things like that happen, and then now when you say like, you know, when I made people laugh, you know, and that was like and then it made everyone feel so much better. It's like, oh, okay. And now you can see like how that trajectory led you to really like comedy, and then try all these other different things. And then the acting classes being so serious. Like,
and now I think of it like, you know, you do acting and you so inspire me, Jenny, and you're so good at it.
You're so good at it. You are.
I know, we've had so many connections. Like we were in an acting class together. We had our Triple J training together. It's all coming up to me. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, that I'm now like, maybe it was like I had to find the funny first and then level out. And I'm like, oh no, that blend, or like I would be drawn to like more serious stuff now. But I think in the beginning where I was like just trying to find myself, it wasn't right for then of being like, I want to be a screen actor. It was just like, I just wanted to be funny and be a performer.
Yeah. I have like some, I don't know, I feel like with acting and with anything where like you're putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and people are there to judge you. Yeah. Like the type of teacher you have and the environment that they create and making sure that's nurturing is so important. Like I had done one course where it was like a really serious teacher that I think like almost, it was one of those things where like someone almost cried in the class, and then it was just so like, and everyone, I was the oldest person there. I was the oldest person. Everyone was like a hot young teenager.
It's a cast of Heartbreak High.
Yeah, and honestly. Yes, I was like, I'm like their teacher. That's the role that I can play here. But I was just like, oh my God, I'm so not cut out for this, and like this is so serious, and people took it so seriously that I almost went like, this is completely not for me.
Yes.
And then now I've kind of like re-entered.
You found it. That's really good. Yeah. And also maybe it's not the best when you're like starting something to like take everything so seriously.
100%.
And also I feel like, Jenny, if you're a comedian, like that's the part of the brain that's so fun of being like, to not take everything so seriously. Like that's the thing that like pulls you out sometimes. You need to be serious, but also I feel like comedians are able to pull back and be like, oh, come on.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you'll go crazy if you take everything seriously all the time your whole life.
100%.
So that's such a good point of like, I've been talking about this with therapy of like, you know, therapy is this big thing that like you have to get to like solve your problems. And the gateway is who your therapist is. And part of that is like, if you find someone who you don't vibe with, you're like, well, it's not for, like, do you know, it's exactly, like actually therapy, it's so annoying. It's like dating or like an acting coach. Yes. Everything is about relationships. Yes. even finding a doctor. Like eventually
Yes.
you have to find someone that you vibe with, whatever the reason is, whatever you want to buy into.
Yeah. You can't dismiss something as completely not entirely for you because the person at the other end matters so much. And I know so many people that are like, I don't go to therapy, it's not for me. And it's like, no, you just need the right therapist.
But it is draining. It is exhausting, like spending money on top of that. Like you don't get a free trial with a therapist. You have to literally put the money down and be like, oh great, I got to tell you my whole life story again. It's not really a vibe.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so then you came from like a family that was like pretty strict and pretty like, we want you to do the prestigious jobs and stuff. And then you're what I would consider in the creative world to be like, you know, you're like on radio and stuff. Like, how are they now with, you know, comedy and everything else?
Yeah, well, actually, it's so funny. When I like talk about it generally, I go, my parents are strict. But really, it was my father who's like the controlling person. I think my mum like was not the same, but like with someone like my dad in the house, like it's his way or the highway, right? So it was mainly my dad that was strict. So he was the one, like when I started to, you know, do more comedy and stuff, mum is supportive. Mum was supportive. She had she's the love language of like worry and stress in terms of, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, like financial stability. She's like, how are you going to support yourself? Like, are you thinking smart about a job like that? She's like, not like, don't ever go into show business, but she is worried of like, show business is hard and scary. Are you going to be able to do this? I'm really worried, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a backup plan? Dad, on the other hand, I remember I told him, and you know, his immediate reaction was bad, was really bad, because I also, it was therapy that got me to finally like drop out of uni and tell my family, because I was lying for a while of like pretending that I was still in uni, even though I was just working in retail and doing classes and stuff.
So it was like a hidden thing that
for a little while from my dad and that extended family, because it was like, you did not do that. There was like no one in my family who didn't like go and do some more like education and come out with like no one was in show business. My whole freaking like family that I knew. So it was a big deal, and it really did take a lot of like therapy of like being like, well, you have to go out on your own, and clearly like the violence is a scary thing, but being outside of it of like, maybe that's not as direct a threat anymore because I don't live with him anymore. It was a little bit like, when are you going to start living life for you? So mum was a bit supportive but worried about that. Dad was a little bit like, you're making the biggest mistake. You're a waste of all the schooling and blah blah. Like he just went like bad. But that didn't stop me. But I did have that in my head of like, you're at family functions and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm just like doing improv, and I like work and they're like, oh, and like I'd have to put up with that. And
the relatives judging is such a big part of it. It's in like ethnic cultures.
Ethnic, for sure.
It's because like the thing about like, oh my God, my son is like here, and then they go to like, they're a doctor or they're a lawyer or whatever. And then like, your family also being able to brag about you is such a big part of it as well.
It's like you're playing poker or some shit. Your children, everything you've got is like a chip. That's what I like about my mum's side, is she doesn't buy into that. She's like, F that, like live for yourself. And so it's taken years of like, you know, you would get it of like slowly you build momentum in your career. And again, it wouldn't always build to money all the time in the most direct way, but that's why I've been so lucky to have Ben, my partner, because I think we both relate in that, like, you know, you'd get it if I was like, oh my God, I'm doing 7 at the store for the first time and it pays like 100. And your mum's like, what's that mean? But like so when you're in the context, you get the things that you have to do to like get through. Or like, I'm doing this thing. No, it's not paid, but like I actually think it's a big deal. So I had that through my like eventually my like partner and my friends. That kept me going, because if you tell your family it's nothing and it's garbage. And then truly, I think like there were some things that were happening, like getting on TV, the family started to like come around and like use me as the chip. They're like, oh, Concetta's on TV. Like they're now going to my father and being like, your daughter's on TV. Like, so it took him years to like kind of come around, and now it's like, woo, Concetta. But Triple J was the first like to have a job, for
like
Christ's sake.
Like full-time, stable income.
That was a little bit like changed my life vibes. And so I think that is a little bit maybe to my parents of like, okay, maybe there's something here. But still it's a maybe.
That's so good. I have like in terms of
how do you relate?
Exactly the same.
And I'm trying not to ask you to tell me your life story, because I imagine you've done it on every single podcast, but just tell as much as you want to.
I try to make it more about the guest on these podcasts.
Well, how do you relate so far with like your like ethnic like family?
Well, like, I mean, same type of parenting, like really strict, except they have no idea about anything in the media, like at all. They have no context of, they have no idea what Triple J is, for example. So I also hid away that I was doing stand-up and lied for several years. And then I think they might have discovered like a poster or something that I was posting on Facebook. And then they were like, what is this? And then they don't even know what stand-up comedy is, right? So I can't explain it to them. And they still kind of don't really understand it.
Yeah.
Like I think they might have seen like sketches and stuff on TV, but stand-up is still, they don't actively like consume it or anything.
Yeah.
So what I still do is like completely like foreign to them.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing where it's like I was on like Letters and Numbers, and then they knew SBS.
Okay.
Because they do well
That's
news.
the ethnic channel. They're like, okay.
Yes. So they're like, oh, yes, we know this one, SBS World News. Like, and I'm like,
Jenny's
close
going to be on the news.
Close enough. Like, even now, like, when I do, like, you know, my casual shifts at Triple J, they don't know what Triple J is. And I'm like, they're part of the ABC. And they're like, oh, ABC News. ABC News. And I'm like,
I just think you're going on different news. ABC News, SBS News.
And then that's what they brag to, like, my relatives with. They're like, Jenny's
They're like,
on
Jenny's
ABC.
A journalist. She's why aren't you looking at the news?
They're like, she's ABC News, SBS, and then everyone else is like, oh wow, she's a very important person.
Does that mean like you are, I don't know what the word is, like you don't like crave their recognition because you're just doing it anyway and they won't understand, right? Like,
yeah, they'll I don't think they'll ever really understand anything in entertainment, really. So I'm kind of just like, whatever, they just do it for me.
Like, you know how when you'd start stand up and like people would bring like, you know, they'd enter Raw Comedy, the like stand up comedy competition, and they like bring 50 friends and they bring family, and I'm like, I don't want anyone there, and they're always like, is your family? I'm like, no, it's not for them. Like,
exactly,
I don't really care about my family. If they want to come, they can come, but like, I know my family, they know me, so they're like sitting there anxious for me. They're not enjoying it. They're like, oh, Concetta, like, is she gonna be okay? And so I just think it's funny that for some people it's like that's what everyone's different.
Yeah, everyone's different. But yeah, so many people, their first gigs are like, yes, I want people to witness
my
this
whole family,
and
my
see
auntie's
me.
here, everyone's here, and I'm like, I don't want them to see me.
No. And then 90% of the time they're like, oh, and here are jokes about me masturbating, and it's like, you also don't want people to see you doing that. Like, no, not your family. Right?
Totally relate.
No.
We get it.
Yeah. Here's a content topic that I'm like, I feel like you'd have an opinion on this.
Okay, let's go.
This is real silly. Okay, so there's like girl math. Have you heard of girl math?
Yes, but I don't actually know what it is, I think. Is it like you do maths but like it doesn't add up or something?
Yeah, pretty much. So the joke is like, you know, you'd go, I think it's something like you'd go shopping and then you'd spend what is essentially like $1,000, but then you'd be like, oh, but then I got like a little discount and it all makes sense, like girl math or whatever, stuff like that. Or like, I'm going to order all these things and then it doesn't add up and you're like, yeah, whatever, girl math.
That's so up my alley. Anything with girl in front of it, I'm like, yep, I'm doing that. Everything you're saying, girl, what is it? Girl dinner, girl math.
Yes.
Like, you put girl, I'm like, that's my experience.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be like the next girl thing?
Oh my God. What about like, it could be anything, like girl science, like girl,
love
politics, girl, it's just like anything, like girl. Do you have one? I don't know, girl.
I reckon girl sport, maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And like, is that like, what's your pitch for that?
I reckon it's going to be like, so there's actual sport, which is like legit and very cool, but then there's going to be like my version of girl sport, which is like me walking to the shopping centre, like walking to
That's
the train
really
station.
funny. It's me hitting 3 shopping centres in one day.
Yeah,
that's girl sport.
That's girl sport. That's a big thing.
Really funny. Oh my God. And what would I think girl, is there like girl weather? Like, I don't know. Is this a girl thing? Like, I see the sun and I go, well, that's the weather for today. And then it's like, no, the weather gets colder like later in the night. And I'm like in a bikini top and I'm like regretting.
Yeah.
That might not be girl. That might just be me. That might just be me.
You were literally telling me just then that it's like currently spring in Sydney. It's like, I would say it's like 20 to 25 degrees at the moment. And you're just like, this is horrible.
This is Antarctica to me. You have no idea. I for 6 months, 8 months a year, I'm like, what's the point? And then for the 3 boiling hot summer months, I'm like, let's get it. That's when my brain switches. I'm like a lizard. I can like soak in the sun, and like that's when I'm like, I can like say every phrase, and I know poetry. Like it just energizes me, hot weather. And yeah, I really do think this is cold. Like, and it has been cold, but like everyone's like, oh, on a cold day and there's sun, the best. I'm like, when you step out of the sun, it's freezing cold. So what am I supposed to wear? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to carry an extra jacket with me. It's too much.
I feel like it's the most boring thing I've ever said, but it is what I believe.
Honestly,
every day.
but like whether this is like such a like everyone says this is like so obvious, but it so affects your mood.
It's
like
so affects your mood.
Like in movies, you know, when it's like they've got like in our HSC high school English, we called it pathetic fallacy. I don't know whether you have the same thing.
No, explain.
Where like if the main character is really like sad, then it starts like raining in the background, and then when they're really happy, it's like their sun's out and whatever.
Yes.
And then like if it's like really depressed, they're like having like a moment and they're really sad, then like it's like nighttime or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's when like argument scenes happen, like they're usually like at night and whatever. I'm like, that happens in real life. That is so true.
Definitely.
I'm so sad.
I swear to you, I went to a doctor and I was like, I'm really down, and she was like, you have seasonal depression. And I was like, what do I do? And she was like, buy a warm jacket. She was like, come on, go to Uniqlo, buy a big jacket, and you just have to stay warm and get through it.
Oh my goodness.
It's real. I want to ask you this question. It's, what's the thing that you do that makes you the most happy? And I think I realized mine is walking on a sunny day. I'm wearing my activewear, I've got my AirPods in, and I'm listening to like the best music, and I'm just stomping the pavement. That's when I'm at my peak happy. I'm like, the world is my oyster. Like the sun does something to me. Walking, like smiling at people. That's when I'm at my bliss point. Do you have something that?
That's girl sport. That's what that is.
Yes, it's hot girl walks. Is a girl sport.
Yeah. What's my happiest? Oh my, that's such a great question.
Isn't it a great question? It could truly be anything.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God, you know what I love?
Oh my God, I'm so ready.
I love leaving gigs early.
That's so funny. Can I say, I thought you were going to be like on stage, and I wouldn't even have judged you. I would have been like, no, that's so fair enough. But you're saying leaving, does that mean that you do the gig and you go straight away?
And then you just say bye to everyone, and then you just get to go home and then like watch Netflix or whatever it is, like a really good show. And you're just like, oh my God, yes, I've so much
That's girl
time.
gigging. Girl gigging is doing the gig and fucking off, whereas like guys hang around, they're having a beer, they're hanging out all night.
I'm like, no, why are you so social?
The girlies are like high-fiving and leaving the gig. They're like, great set, babe, see ya.
Exactly. All right, so we'll go to Clapbacks, which is essentially where we take the really annoying things that people have said to us and then we clap back against them.
Let's go. This is good. This is much needed.
Yes, let's have a good vent about it. I got a few, but you got a few as well. I can kick us off.
Yeah.
All right, this one's like so bitter.
Okay, can I ask where it's from?
This one is from TikTok.
Okay.
So I had I posted a TikTok of what it's like to travel alone, where I emphasize all of like the bad things about traveling alone, which is that like you see like all these happy couples and you're like, oh God, I'm still single and I'm alone, right?
Yeah.
And that's like one of the parts in the video, but it's like it's like a jokey comedic thing. I'm not actually.
I get it. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not writing hate on your videos.
No, you have a life. You're too busy. So this person wrote, then get reminded by happy couples that you are forever alone. I mean, you did ghost me on one of the apps, won't say which. We make our own worlds.
Are you kidding? If I just let that sink in. So that is a hate comment from someone who maybe like talked to you on a dating app.
On an app.
And is telling you you're miserable because of yourself.
Yeah, that I've created my own. What deep. It's so deep, right? Like, it's like, we make our own worlds. Like,
that's unbelievable. It's like, take the hint. I didn't like you.
Yes,
move on.
Exactly.
You've made your own world. You're the one commenting on a effing girl who like swipe past you. TikTok's like, that's so crazy.
It's like also like, oh yeah, that's gonna win me back. That'll really make me.
Oh
pay
my God, yeah, I
and
miss you.
And check through the apps and be like, oh yes, maybe I did forget to reply to you.
Isn't it so funny? Like, you know that game where it's like you lost the game just from like saying that or something?
Yeah.
That's like the second you write a hate comment, you've lost the game, dude. You literally have lost.
Exactly.
I've never thought about it like that.
And here's a real, speaking of like people doing weird things on dating apps and stuff. I feel like this is the last episode I'm recording, so I'm like, I'm going to share it with you.
Go off.
So I had this dude who I was chatting to on like a dating app, and then he did the whole thing of like, oh, I don't check this app much. Let's take it to Instagram.
Classy.
Which is
smooth.
Like, yeah. So then chatted to him a bit on Instagram, but then I think I was like talking to someone else at the time, or like I lost interest or whatever, or I got busy. I forgot, right? Anyway, then comes, so this person was like based in Melbourne as well. So I'm like, well, this is never going to work because I'm going to stay in Sydney. The weather's beautiful here. And then I did my Melbourne Comedy Fest show, and then he bought a ticket. And then at the very end of my show, I meet my fans and then I greet them. And there's like a line of people. This is going to sound like a brag, but it's genuinely not. I like meeting my fans. So there's like a line that forms, and then people like come and take photos with me. Yeah. And he was in that line, and then he came up to me and he was like, hey, you ghosted me.
Oh my God.
And he opened with that. You know what I mean? I'm like, what do I say to that? And then after that, he was like, can I also get a photo?
Oh my God, Jenny, what kind of men are running after you? It's funny because it's like, that's like a funny one-off story. That's twice that someone's like chasing you down and be like, you ghosted me. But good content though.
Good content.
Funny. Someone's laughing at this.
I'm laughing at this. We're laughing at this.
Is it my turn?
Yeah. What have you got?
God, this is going to take a different tone. No one's in love with me. No one's like bitterly hurt that they didn't start a life with me and is coming and lining up to see me with my fans. So at Triple J, if you don't know, the radio station, there's like a text line and anyone in the country can text. Just find the text number and you text, and we see it live on air. And it was really, I was doing summer, like alone last year, at the end of last year, to like prep before breakfast. And that was a time where I got heaps of hate, and it was really hard because I was learning and I was alone and I had just started, and that would really get to me, and I would like be crying off air sometimes. But it's funny because I got a piece of hate then that I still get now. What? So this is hate that I got when I like first started. It starts out so good. Welcome to Triple J, Concetta. Please feel free to take advice and inspiration from your predecessors. Miff, Nina, KLP, Linda, Bridget. Listened to them for years and didn't know they entered a DJ comp but didn't finish, that a lady in Italy wouldn't give up their Insta name, that their nonna said lipstick would fade their lips, or how they eat ice cream, let alone advice about talking in the toilet. Each time slot is different. Breakfast and afternoon drive typically involve more talk than other times when listeners want more music and less talk. Relax, chill, and do your thing and play music. Talk about the music and play some more.
More music, less talk is Smooth FM. What the hell are they on about?
So like from the beginning, like when I was alone, again, you know this, we did this. Yeah. It's like, well, we're comedians, we're people, we're like, I'm just going to talk about funny stuff. Exactly. and people can reply to me. So I'm not like dead bored.
Yeah, also that's like an entire because I was like watching you read that, and I'm like, that was an entire paragraph of someone who just like felt the need to also mention like previous hosts to be like, I know my thing, welcome to Triple J, like I own it.
It's like cunt, it's not yours, what are you talking about? Like, of course it's like the people's radio, but like it's not built for you one man. You don't get to tell me what radio is. They wouldn't effing hire me, dude, if I wasn't what like Triple J is supposed to be. God, this took me 8 months to say this because like back then I'd be like, he's right, I'm an idiot.
He's not.
Now we're 8 months in. Now I am in the role where I am supposed to talk, about my nonna and this. But I've still gotten the same thing. This was a comment on a video that like recently, it was my 4-year anniversary with my partner Ben, who you know.
Congratulations. And 4 years. Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
It's been that long.
I know. And we don't really like do anything crazy to celebrate. And he surprised me by ordering an Austin Powers impersonator to come to the office and sing to me. And it truly, I had no idea it was for me. I thought it was like someone for the office. Like it took me really long, and I like obviously burst into tears. I'm very emotional. And so they posted that on the Triple J thing. And, mostly it's like loving comments. It's funny. But this guy wrote, we love music. not the DJs in capitals. Remember heroes like Linda Mariano, Kaz Tran, Miff Warhurst?
Gosh.
We didn't hear anything about their lives because they loved music in capitals.
Oh my God. But it's also like that popped up on their algorithm. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're responsible for their own algorithm. If they loved music, well then they could just scroll away from it instead of watching the entire video.
Exactly. And it was so nice. Like people like retorted and they were like, this is posted on their show page. Like
Exactly.
just move on. So it's just like being told to shut up. And it's like, you know, I guess I'll get told that forever. You know what I'm noticing actually right now? They're all women. They were all doing music shows. I'm on the breakfast show, which is a famously duo content-led position.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, it's like, why are they feeling the need to like comment about all these other women in the past and like directly comparing you to them as well?
Exactly.
Like,
it's the women that you're policing. Like no one's being like, Matt and Alex, could you please just talk about music, and you're not supposed to do fun, silly things.
That's so true. The double standard.
Anyways, that's all I had. I mean, I get a billion every day, but they're the only ones I can find.
No, thanks for sharing that. I got one where I remember that time where I was chatting to you about how I had to do like a sponsored ad for like period underwear.
Yes.
I shot it, and one of the requirements in it was that you have to be seen wearing the underwear. So then I had to like do a shot of me in the underwear, right? As part of the brief requirements, which most people like did not realize. And the amount of things about my body that I saw being commented was just like,
so scary.
Oh, Jesus. But here is one that said flat as the earth, which is like, so you're also a flat earther? Like, did you just out yourself
That's
as someone
really
who doesn't
funny.
believe in science?
You've outed yourself as an idiot. That's unbelievable. I mean, can I just make it quickly honest? How do you not let it get all this stuff get to you? Because I forget, like, again, you're big on TikTok. I thought TikTok's like a really nice place. I don't ever go on there. I've always thought it was like TikTok's the most supportive of the apps, but like you clearly there's hate everywhere.
There's hate everywhere. There's always going to be hate. But like I turn literally all of my notifications off except for Messenger, and I don't read the comments.
Yeah, it is smart.
Yeah.
When you're getting that big, you probably shouldn't.
Although like some like I think sometimes I take a quick peek through and they're nice, but then there's always at least like if I'm going to check it like 2 times a day, one of those 2 times I'll always accidentally see something that's like,
it's not
perfect.
No,
I shouldn't have read that.
You're flat as earth.
yeah, my butt is actually like the earth, it's very round. So. All right, so Concetta, I had accidentally ended this podcast previously because
I drove all the way home and you said, get your ass back here, Concetta. And so I drove all the way back and I said, Jenny, you know I do breakfast radio, you dog. No, I'm just kidding. We were hanging out and you were like, I forgot 2 more questions. Let's pop the mics back on.
Let's do it. Thank you very much for coming all the way back. And you even like changed your car parking slot and everything because we were like, we're going to hang out. It's going to be a while and you need free parking. So basically, I end the pod with 2 questions for every single one of my guests. The first one is, do you go to therapy?
Fuck yeah, I go to therapy.
Amazing. And what do you think is the greatest lesson you've learnt from therapy?
I hate to be cliche, but truly like I've learnt lessons in therapy constantly and consistently, and it's been the biggest thing that has helped me get through this crazy thing called life. One thing that comes to mind is just the thing of like when someone does something, it's about them and not a you thing, if that makes sense. Like, so just think about so many times you've done something and like if someone were to assume something about it, like just say I didn't talk to you, like when I walked in I like went somewhere else,
and that's exactly what you did. No.
Exactly. I walked in and I said I'm not talking to you until you turn the mics on. This is such a shit example. Like I have notes upon notes. I would write everything down from therapy and it would like each chapter of my life I'd be like, oh, this is helpful for this, so I'm sorry I'm like butchering it, but just that idea of
no, you're not. It's like the way that I read it in a self-help book once was don't take anything personally.
Yeah, a little bit of that actually helps you because like you just forget that we're all in our own heads half the time, and it's good to like actually just not always assume. Also, there's this this list that my therapist gave me called thinking errors, which like, you know, if your brain has like a billion things going on, like for example, a thinking error is catastrophizing. Like if you fall into a pattern of being like, oh no, like I was running late to this podcast. Oh my God, I'm running late. Oh my God, Jenny is going to be so mad at me. And then that means like the podcast is going to go late. And so then it's going to be a bad ep. And then like, I'll never do podcasting again. And like, I'll never be like, there was just so many things that my brain just do on autopilot. And then there was this list of actual thinking errors of like catastrophizing is one, like making narratives is one, like where you make a story about what's going on. Anyway, so
yeah, I mean, I so relate to that. And also, you weren't even that late. Like you were like, you messaged going, I mean, clearly you were typing in your car. It was like so weird. But then I could tell you were like, I'm going to be 5 minutes late. And then you were like on the dot, like 2:05 we met up. You were like only 5 minutes late. And I'm like, that is so fine. And I do not care at all if people are like, you're doing this pod for like, and just like giving me all of your time. Like
totally.
I would never be upset at someone who does that. So yeah.
And that's me because I was catastrophizing. No, but that was just an example. Anyways, I hate my answer. What's the next question?
No, you did great. It was good. The last question to close off the pod is, Concetta, how do you like your peanut butter, smooth or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Yay!
I love crunchy. Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks so much, Concetta. Bye.